kind of propose to the table. See if there's any how would I put it? Fuck it, I'll just propose the question. If you guys see let's say a threatening person, and you're in a crowded space, and maybe you are the most physically fit out of the group, or just physically able of the group, would you ever step in? As the only female, how would you feel on that?
I mean, I feel like there's so many factors that go into this that I'm like really unsure. Personally, like fight or flight kind of thing, I would probably flight in that situation. But again, like, is this person like threatening children? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I could put myself between like this person and a child, probably. You know what I mean? But I would probably, like, as opposed to directing or focusing on the person that is the issue, I would probably focus my attention on the child and getting the child out of the way.
If it was a child.
Yeah, if it was a child. Or like getting the person away from the bad person. I would focus on that person.
Right.
You know what I mean? And been like, hey, come with me over here. Like, let's get out of here or whatever.
Yeah.
But
all right, what about you guys? Where do you guys stand on something like that?
You can take that.
You said we're in public, right?
There's
a lot of people around.
Yeah, there's there's a crowd.
So for me, it depends on a couple different factors. Their size and stature is something that I would factor. Also, if they have weapons on them, we may not know. I may not know they have a knife or a gun until I try to contest them.
Right.
It also depends on who I'm with. Like if I'm with my family, I may not put myself at risk. I may be trying to prioritize my family and say, we need to get out of here, right? Because I don't want something to happen to them. If I'm by myself and maybe I feel comfortable with their size and their stature, I don't know about weapons, I would tell somebody to call 911 immediately. I'd also tell somebody to start recording it if I was going to interject,
right,
to have evidence. And then I would try to stop that person by physically interjecting. But that's,
it's obvious you've been trained and I have not.
It's risky.
That's how I wanted to hear you.
It's really risky
with your background. Like,
right.
I would imagine you would have a better.
I mean, I would probably be like, realistically, I would probably be calling the police before anything. But also, like, I also would want to assess the situation on, like, is that a bad idea to call the police? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. There's a lot of factors into it.
It like if this person was, even if this person was bigger than me, I'm talking about if this person was like a 6'6", 300-pound jacked dude, I'm probably not going to engage.
Right.
Because I'm going to become incapacitated like everybody else he probably encounters. But if it was relatively my size, even if they're a little bit bigger, and they were, like Lindsay said, harming a child, I 100%, if I'm by myself, I'm going to intervene. But I'm going to make sure somebody calls the cops first, immediately. I'm going to make sure somebody's recording, because I want this to be, I want there to be evidence of what happens. And then there's a difference between trying to intervene with somebody to stop a threat than beat somebody up, right? Like if I interject, it might end up being a fight, but I'm not necessarily going over there to beat this person up. I'm going over there to stop this person.
Right.
Maybe that's creating space. Maybe that's telling whoever he's trying to harm, get away. If you do that, though, you put yourself at risk because they can come after you, and then you are fighting, and you may be fighting for your life. So there's a lot that goes into that question, but that's probably how my brain would work.
All right.
I think if I was like you said, helping my family, and this guy is causing some sort of threat to me, I would interject. I would say something.
Maybe if it wasn't just you, but it was, the group as a collective feel unsafe and kind of feel as though something's about to happen. Like, do you interject yourself to kind of keep it at bay, or are you just kind of hanging out until something actually happens physically, or are you?
I think I'm waiting to see if something happens. If he's like pushing a woman or he's fucking with a kid, then like I think that's when I would step in. And I'm not a fighter like that guy. I'm not that guy that fights, but I think I can utilize my size to at least grab the guy or like stop him. So I would say so if it's kids or like a woman involved, but if it's two dudes arguing, I'm not gonna say.
Right.
I'm not gonna say nothing. That's not my business. And maybe he deserved it.
The scary thing nowadays is you don't know the level of training people have.
No,
So,
no.
like Adrian made a good point. He's a big guy. If he gets his hands on you and you have no level of training, he might just be able to hold you down with his sheer size. But this guy's like highly trained. You could be in a whirlwind of like not a good day.
Is this similar to what happened on the train?
It's a great question you ask because
Is that I heard something about this.
yeah, that scenario was relevant because our first topic's about a gentleman. I don't know if he's still military or not, but his name
He's
is
former Marine.
former Marine. Okay,
That's what I had heard. I didn't know if he was military or not.
Daniel
yeah,
Penny.
Yeah, I know the story. Okay.
Right.
Okay, yeah.
So it was about what, a year or two ago. There was a situation on a subway in New York where this homeless person, we'll just say that because I don't know if he came off druggy or not, but homeless person was threatening a bunch of people on a subway, and it got to a point where this Daniel Penny guy stepped in. They got kind of in a tussle, and the homeless guy ended up in a chokehold, a rear naked choke. The choke lasted for about 6 minutes, and
Until police came, or?
and the homeless until police came,
Okay.
and the homeless person died. There's a group of people that are upset about it. Certain focus groups out there that are protesting.
There's
They think I'm sure there's a bunch of different narratives that can be created off of a white military person killing a black homeless person. But I have a series of clips that we can watch that'll kind of show a little bit of what took place during the scenario, the situation.
Yeah, because context is really important.
It does, right? Because most of the time you're just provided a headline, and a lot of times those headlines are influenced. So you never know. So
Clickbait.
right, clickbait. So I'll play a couple things, and maybe I'll follow up with you guys to get a follow-up reaction. Let's see what my first clip has for us.
Of New York, jury deliberations just began in the trial of Daniel Penny. He's a Marine veteran accused of killing a homeless man named Jordan Neely in a chokehold. CBS News New York's Christina Font reports on closing arguments
People are
from
not
both
happy
the
over there.
defense and the prosecution.
Good afternoon. The judge is about to charge the jury, and then deliberations will finally begin. Outside, you'll notice there are a lot more barricades and police officers compared to normal, likely in anticipation of possible protests that may break out once a verdict is finally reached. While wrapping up their closing arguments this morning, the prosecution reiterated that Jordan Neely died of a chokehold, not a combination of other factors like sickle cell crisis and drug use the defense had previously argued. Prosecutors say Penny acted recklessly, gripping Neely's neck for nearly 6 minutes, not letting go even after the train pulled into the station and passengers were able to get off. The defense, during their summations yesterday, called the trial a
dude
rush
was a
to
Michael Jackson
judgment,
impersonator?
arguing media attention and protests motivated the DA's office to file those charges and asked the jury to imagine for a moment they were on that train. The trial has taken more than a month so far. Jurors have heard testimony from witnesses, police officers, and medical experts. If they find Penny guilty, he could face up to 15 years in prison for the top charge of manslaughter. The judge could also choose not to sentence Penny to any prison time, even if he is
I thought
convicted.
that was a video.
Reporting from Lower Manhattan, Christina Fan, CBS News, New York.
What makes a cinematic shot?
See, that's crazy. Why hold on to it for 6
Breaking
minutes?
news.
They didn't show.
Yeah,
I wanted
so-
to see what he was doing before that happened, though.
Yeah,
I think that
tried
the
really hard to
issue-
find that video. I couldn't find the.
So the issue I don't think is that he confronted this person. The issue is that he continued to hold the chokehold
Yeah.
beyond even after the threat of the external people was eliminated.
If you-
That's the debate on.
What about the threat to himself?
Okay,
But after 3
that's
minutes
a-
of being in a hold,
Right.
you can't feel the guy moving anymore. Is there really a threat?
right.
Sure. No,
and
it's a good
right.
question.
And I mean, I think that there's at that point a way to let him go. You get your distance. you know, to the point where you can defend yourself in a different way, right? But choking somebody in a chokehold for 6 minutes is where the debate on if it was on purpose or not is coming from.
The military veteran or was a Marine veteran?
Marine veteran, yeah.
Do we? I don't know. Do we know if he has
PTSD.
like martial arts training? Like, was he jiu-jitsu?
They just
trainer?
have what they get shown in the basics. As far as we've been told, he has about that much experience.
Right. And
Okay.
for the most part, you're learning how to defend yourself in basics.
Well,
Like,
I asked that question because a lot of people that roll and do jiu-jitsu, they probably know when somebody goes out, they lose consciousness, and they'll know immediately to let go.
Yeah.
If he doesn't have that training, like if his training,
but it looked like people were trying to tell him, like, okay, like,
yeah, if his training that he learned in the military was like you hold on and don't let go, I guess I would.
Yeah.
That's why I'm asking like the level of training.
Yeah.
But to me, 6 minutes does seem pretty long, and I would have liked to have seen, to really give like I guess an answer. For me, I would have liked to have seen what transpired before that. Like how threatening was he? Was he just being loud? Was he being obnoxious, boisterous? Was he physically like harming people?
Okay, hold that thought. I do have another video I want to play.
Because that just shows the choke. But 6 minutes does seem pretty long.
Yep.
Also, Title 42 expiring, what changes at the border in just hours. But we are going to begin tonight with the breaking news after that chokehold on the New York City subway. A former Marine will now be charged with second-degree manslaughter. What that specific charge means, and it comes after he used a chokehold on a man who witnesses said was acting erratically and threatening other passengers. He later
Right there,
died.
he looked like he was out.
Video showing the Marine veteran Daniel Penny with his arm around Jordan Neely's neck, other passengers helping to hold him down. 30-year-old Jordan Neely was later pronounced dead at the hospital. New York City Mayor Eric Adams saying he did not deserve to die. The incident sparking protests and an intense debate over public safety and growing concern over mental health. That former Marine is expected to turn himself in now tomorrow. ABC's Stephanie Ramos leading us off tonight here in New York.
Tonight, the man who put Jordan Neely in a deadly chokehold on a New York City subway will be arrested and charged with second-degree manslaughter, according to the Manhattan District Attorney. 24-year-old former Marine Daniel Penny, seen in this disturbing video from May 1st, restraining Neely in a chokehold for at least 3 minutes. Police say Neely was harassing passengers and acting erratically on the train, but was not physically violent. The video also showing other passengers holding Neely down. The 30-year-old later pronounced dead at the hospital. Neely was a Michael Jackson impersonator, and attorneys for his family say he was homeless and battled mental health issues since his mother's murder in 2007.
It needs to be made clear that there are consequences when a civilian takes a situation into their own hands and causes a fatality.
No justice!
The incident setting off days of protests. New York City Mayor Eric Adams addressing Neely's death.
One thing we can say for sure, Jordan Neely did not deserve to die.
Tonight, Penny's attorney saying he stepped in to protect himself and his fellow New Yorkers, saying Neely's death was unintended and unforeseen, adding Penny will be fully absolved of any wrongdoing.
And so let's bring in Stephanie Ramos with us live here in New York tonight. And Stephanie, this second-degree manslaughter charge, what does this signal?
Well, David, that second-degree manslaughter charge suggests prosecutors believe Penny did not intend to kill Neely, but acted recklessly by putting him in that chokehold. If convicted, Penny could face up to 15 years in prison. David.
All right, Stephanie, thank you.
There's a lot of different angles you can go there.
I wish I still could have seen what happened before he put him in a chokehold.
They mentioned there was no physical.
But
Yeah.
I've never done jiu-jitsu, so like I don't want to say. To me, 6 minutes seems like a long time to hold somebody in a chokehold.
Yeah, I think we can all agree.
I
right?
think-
6
I've never been
minutes
choked
is a
out.
lot.
To me, like another, like it's a white man trying to like, oh, I'm gonna protect and protect my people, even though he doesn't really necessarily like have a right to. I don't know, like.
Somebody giving a fuck.
Yeah,
then
he
there's
he
no need
was
to give a
he
fuck.
was acting erratically and saying threatening things, but they said that he didn't touch anybody or he wasn't like
He caused no physical harm to nobody, so he didn't deserve to die.
right. So if they're not touching, you know what I mean? Like there is like I guess a line, but
Maybe maybe choke him out or restrain him and then get him down and until the cops get there. But 6 minutes,
That's a long time.
Right.
and you know he's not moving, and the guy's chewing gum as he's choking him
Well,
out.
he was
like,
calm.
he's
Well, the
very
military guy
comfortable
was
with what he's
calm.
doing.
He was calm.
Yeah.
I can see where it can lead to that, where you know, confront the person that's causing the disturbance, and next thing you know, he wants to get in your face about what's going on, and that's how you end up on the floor, right? But initially, there was no physical, so I can see how that report could be true too.
And then it's talk about mental health. I mean,
That's another line,
PTSD
yeah.
is real, right? I
Oh,
don't know
yeah.
what this guy. Maybe this guy seen some shit, and when he was during his service, and he
but I
just
mean, but
snapped.
this Jordan Neely, the person who died, also probably has PTSD from when his mother was murdered.
right.
So I mean, two different, you know, there's mental health on both sides, but I mean, I think that it is the issue of like you held this guy in a chokehold for 6 minutes, where you know, like George Floyd type of situation, like there was a reckless amount of power being used on somebody who was already subdued.
I don't think he meant out to kill him, but at the end of the day, you stepped in when no one asked you to. You decided to hold this dude for 6 minutes. You made a mistake. That you fucked up. You killed somebody. So I don't think maybe don't do the 15 years. Do 7.
Right.
But he should do some jail time. He killed somebody.
If you're
he didn't need to.
right, if you can't stand the heat, get
Stay
out the kitchen. Yeah, like
Like
you know,
he
if
gave
you
a fuck when you're not. They don't need to give a fuck.
yeah, if you're not gonna be able to like handle the situation, then don't do anything. You know. But I don't know. I mean,
Sal is-
you're not trained. You know, like
Yeah.
you're.
Hold on, Sal is the most trained one here. What do you think now? What are your thoughts are now after hearing the table and then seeing the second video?
Well, I've never done jiu-jitsu and I don't know that much about like chokeholds in terms of around your neck, but to me 6 minutes does seem like a long time. If he wasn't physically threatening anybody, I don't see why that he probably, when you asked that question earlier, one thing that I told you was statue, like their size matters, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna engage with somebody that's like a monster, like a Brian Shaw, world's strongest man type size. His arms are as big as my whole body.
Right.
So like that's important. And that guy looked really small,
He was taller than Penny for
Right.
but
just
he's thin,
I'm just saying.
like super
Right.
thin. And
in,
like
in one
Right.
He's a
I mean,
Michael Jackson impersonator.
Weight-
Like
weight-
he's probably not physically.
weight is
Most people
big
who
thing in
have
fights.
drug
Yeah.
problems are usually not taking
Yeah.
care of themselves and working out and
So
eating healthy.
Do
right?
I think Penny and the other people in that subway could have held him down without choking him around his neck? Yeah, I think they could have, because he was already getting help from other
Right.
people. You saw
Yeah.
that one guy grabbing his arms, and I kind of felt bad watching, because he's trying to fight for his life. He's trying to grab for the arms around his neck, and he can't even do that because they're holding his arms.
True.
So there was enough people there that could have held him down without choking him.
Right. I
the
wonder
neck.
if there was anybody saying like, hey, like let him go, you know, like that would also provide context also, because to me, if somebody is like telling you, hey, he's, you know,
You're killing
passing
this
out
guy.
if
You-
somebody's telling you that, like, hey, let him go,
Kicked him in the face.
then you made the choice, you know, like
And I've had to hold people down in my line of work until we could put handcuffs on them. But again, I'm doing that with 3 or 4 people with me. So it's a
Right.
lot easier to control somebody when you have 3 or 4 people. If Penny didn't have that, you might be thinking, okay, if I let him go and he gets up and now he's coming after me.
So, I mean, we've worked in the same environment, the 3 of us, right? And there's been situations where, like, let's say somebody is bugging me, and I'm working, and I'm like, hey, this person, they're acting really weird. They're kind of saying some shit like, oh, I'm going to fuck you up, you know, like that's just a general kind of threaten. And then you go over there and make contact just to be like, hey, just to figure out what the situation is, and he flips out. You go hands on, you get the guy like down, but it's still just you and him, because remember, like, you just made contact. I just grabbed you and was like, hey, you get the guy down, you get him chill. You're not putting him in a chokehold to get him. There's other tactics.
I'm not.
Yeah.
But I'm not Penny, and I don't know what he was thinking.
Right.
I'm not. Because I know that. Well, and that's a different situation too, because I know backup is on the way. It's just a matter of time, and it's probably minutes. At the time of Mikhail's working there, I know Mikhail's going to be there in like probably 30 seconds, and we're going to have numbers.
Right.
So I'm just trying to hold him until that happens. In that situation, who knows how long your quote unquote backup is, because you're waiting for law enforcement. But when those other people started helping on the subway, I think that was a great opportunity to let go.
All of the people were off of the train.
And say,
the train was in the station.
Guys, help me hold him down.
Yeah.
That's it.
Right. Because if the subway, there's an emergency button. So people are probably hitting the emergency button, but the subway can't just stop because you're underground. There's not any way to necessarily get help. So you have to go to the next station. So they're notified at the next station, like, hey, something's going down. The emergency button was pushed. So they're notified like ahead of time, like something's, going down enough for somebody to hit the emergency button. So, I mean,
what do you think, Mikhail?
I think it just depends on whether that person, Penny, in this situation, his personal threat level. If he legit feared for his life, and at that time where he went hands on, he felt that he was the only one that was going to be able to do anything, because everyone was just standing there. I could see how you go in a chokehold, to get him to like go to sleep at least. Whether that was right or wrong, I mean, he's not on the job. He's a civilian at that point. He felt danger.
I'm not against the chokehold either. Put him in a chokehold, but let go.
I agree.
Once
that
you
is,
realize
that's
that, like,
I just don't
let
know
go.
if the Michael Jackson impersonator, if when he went to sleep, when someone goes to sleep, because I'm experiencing that as well, do they just go limp? I don't know. Maybe
From what I've seen, they go limp.
Maybe that part of him getting stiff appeared to Penny from behind, that he was still what do you call it? Resisting.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Not to mention, I'm sure adrenaline is like running through his veins. So
So I don't know. It's kind of that's a tough call, because all the stuff that you're saying, Sal, is stuff that you're trained really well on that stuff.
Right.
A lot of that stuff is like at work, and it's kind of like for Penny, it's hard to replicate that same.
Well, you're
feeling for him.
Yeah, you're asking me questions, and like we have been in those scenarios where I'm really comfortable in very uncomfortable situations.
Exactly. Yeah.
Where I might have the presence of mind to do exactly what Adrian said.
Yeah.
Hey guys, he's not resisting anymore. Like, I'm gonna let go, just hold him down.
Yeah.
But some people may not react like that.
Right.
Some people may hold on for dear life, because if they let go, they think they could die.
Right.
Exactly.
But I mean, my thing is, the threat leading up to this point didn't seem to match the fact that he was holding on for a life or death situation.
Yeah.
You know,
that's fair too.
Yeah. We haven't seen enough to like, I guess, say otherwise. Yeah.
The situation ahead of time before the chokehold, I think, is like the biggest question, and I think that's would answer a lot of our questions. But.
Okay. Well, yeah. All right.